Good morning, Montessori Land and other schools across the sea. This is Finding the Perfect Match, our weekly Montessori Foundation webinar, one of two that we currently do every week, and one of three that we do with Nav every other week, trying to get Nav to go to once a week. This one is specifically about finding the perfect match, all topics related to recruiting and retaining great families, whether you're a Montessori school, a monastery school, faith-based school, traditional prep school, we don't care. Bottom line is this is a place where common ground focused on the issues of how do we get great families and how do we keep them. This week, our guest is Navneet Rastogi from a company called Illumine. I'm going to let him introduce himself in a minute after I tell you a little bit more about my co-host, Clint Lausch. Clint is the owner and founder of a great school marketing company. Used to work for Independent School Management, a company that most of us know and admire greatly. Clint used to handle digital marketing training, and set up his own shop a couple of years ago. I met him when I was working with him at Newgate, and I have great admiration and respect for what he's doing. Clint and I have become good friends and doing a lot of interesting work together. Clint, anything you want to say about housekeeping or about Ames?
No, I appreciate it, Tim, and yeah, this is I'm excited for today's session because as I think of even about our marketing and marketing software that we have and AI and geez, how much AI is playing a role and how we're trying to inject as much AI into the platform as possible. So, and it's and AI is one of those things where it's here, it's not going anywhere, but how do we use it? So, we're trying to utilize it even more with our marketing and guiding schools along. So, and it's great to have Navneet on here, and I'll turn it over to you, Nav, because it is a great platform. I know you're utilizing AI a tremendous amount, so it's going to be great to have the conversation today and how you're seeing it integrated into the classroom with teachers, with staff, with everybody. So, yeah, Tim, thank you as always, and yeah. Looking
Before
forward to
I
the
turn it
conversation.
over to Nav, I usually like, because I do a lot of things with Nav as well, I like to tell Nav's story from my perspective. We met Nav at our conference last year in Atlanta. What struck me about his software, because we've seen a lot of software over the years, and we work as an advisor to Montessori Compass. We love Brightwheel and ProCare and OnCare and Fax and you name it. What I appreciate about Nav software, which is called Illumine, you tell me what that means other than illuminate. The bottom line is this is a group coming out of India. And for those of us in North America who don't know, Bangalore, India is a Silicon Valley that has evolved in that region. They're producing more young Turks who are doing fantastic work, very smart, very innovative, and very, very affordable by Western standards. Nav's software developed because he was a young father dealing with a Montessori school that didn't communicate very well with him, and he felt like there had to be a better way to do that and run the entire school. Illumine is a total preschool management software solution. It can best be compared to Brightwheel, School Cues, ProCare, OnCare, Line Leader CRM, Playground. There are a lot of these things around. But what I appreciate about Nav is he approached it from a couple of angles that I think are relevant. The first is the school his child went to was part of a chain of 84 schools. And so, unlike most software, instead of developing it for one center, he developed it so you could manage a vast swath of different schools under one software account and still have it work at the individual school level. That is important. Secondly, it's incredibly hard normally to change software because it is so expensive. Nav designed his software to be able to be improved and improved and fixed to be incredibly responsive to clients. And I've seen him do things in a matter of weeks that I've not been able to see anyone else in the software industry do in a matter of years. The third thing that I've noticed about Nav is that he designed his software to be the equivalent of what I think of as my Apple iPhone. It's idiot proof. I like things that are easy to use and work consistently. You've got a 99% uptime record. But what I appreciate about it from my end is we in the school industry or in the childcare industry, we get a lot of turnover. We get new aftercare staff, we get new teachers that come in mid-year, we get new people working in the office. You need to be able to quickly train people to understand this. And if you've ever used ProCare, OnCare, Fax, or whatever, I mean, when we introduced Fax last year, and it does the job, Blackbaud, Fax, they all work great to run a private school. But the learning curve is about a year. And James Moudry and Sarah and I put in a lot of effort to try to figure out how to make it do its tricks. So while Nav software is not really designed at this point for an independent school per se, uh, it is incredibly user friendly. And if you happen to be a right fit, you really want to take a look at what he's doing because it's pretty cool. Now, having said that, Nav has got a module that really is what caught my attention at our convention because I usually avoid the exhibitors that are trying to sell software because they all want me to endorse them, and I usually try to avoid it. But my son Mark and I stumbled over to his booth, and I looked at what he was doing a year and a half ago, and it caught my attention. And when he started knocking on my door, I at least was willing to listen. And I've watched over the last year trying to figure out what he's got. And the more I see something that I think is, as we described it, the future of what we all need to do. And Nav made the decision to break this thing apart so that any school, whether they're Montessori school or a child care center or a high school, anyone in theory could use it and it's affordable, and it's smart, and it's easy to use, and it can be done standalone. So our goal today is for Nav to kind of lead us through what this is, why he did it, and how it works so that we get a first sense of what the future is about to bring to us and why you might want to adapt what Nav is offering in your school, whether you're using Montessori Compass, Transparent Classroom, some other software. It really doesn't matter. This is a darn good tool, is my impression. Having
Thank you,
said
Tim.
that, Nav, take it away. Who are you?
Thank you, Tim, for such a wonderful introduction for me. I couldn't have done anything like that introduction for myself. As Tim said, I'm a father who started this more to solve what I wanted to learn. As father, what my son has been learning was the motive when we started building this company. The idea was to bring a platform which is super easy to use, bring parent, teachers, and directors on one platform instead of juggling with multiple platforms out there. With that, we started back in India around 7.5 years now. My son is around 8.5. Is where That's where it started the journey, and started back in India, but scaled across. Currently, we are present in 57 plus countries. We have been working with big chains, small centers, big brands, small brands, and now we are in US market. But that's the story that we started with to solve with. But last 18 months have been really, really eye-opening in terms of what we really wanted to do. We really wanted to get parent know what their child has been learning and have that parent engagement piece really, really strong. But when I went to talk to the teachers, one of the challenge what they had is they're overloaded in terms of documenting, taking photos, also creating learning records, all of that. And they didn't have the right set of tools. So we started building the tools where they can record the information. But when AI started coming in this space and we started questioning how can we bring this AI efficiency in this space and actually save that time for teachers. And initially, I was also in the opinion that it cannot come in the education space because you need a personal touch. You need a teachers to handle the kids. But then we realized, can it help teachers? Of course, you don't want to take the care part away. You don't want to take away the role of the teacher. Nobody can displace that. What it can help is what they do when the kids are sleeping or when the kids on the break and you're trying to fill in the reports to tell parents what's going on. So we attempted something where we said we don't create something which is like just adding a delta by saying you can get a one stage faster. We said, let's attempt something which is unimaginable at that stage, which was saying, what will be the ideal state for teachers? Take some photos throughout the days, what kids are doing in activity, and then put it in a system. And AI takes over, writes really nice reports, identify who's there in the photo, which parent are not supposed to receive, like where they have not given the photo consent to put their child's photo. Also considers like what materials they're playing in a classroom, what they're doing, what are the blur photos, what are the noisy photos, and all of that. And clear all of that noise and stitch a nice daily report where you've written like what kids are doing, who is in that photo, in nice tone, also balancing about what was the observation in that. And then teachers can also add a personal input instead of going and typing it out. Just say these are the photos, open a voice note and say they were celebrating birthday today, and one of the most amazing thing happened there was they started sharing a cake together in a group of 5 kids, like, and then everything else is done by the AI, but that personalization kicks in, and within seconds you have a well written daily report out there. What teacher did is just taking good photos when they were doing activity, and especially in Montessori school where the group of kids are playing together with the material, it's very easy to look at it like what they are doing in that activity. Like it looks easy, but on the AI side it's little difficult to get that accuracy done. But we worked on that piece. We said this is the ideal state, let's attempt it. So it took us like almost a year to get to that stage. But now when I go around and try to show this, where this is now reality, like maybe I'll share the screen and try to show how does it work, is as simple as you take the photos, put it in the system, nice daily report written out there. If you don't like it, you want to add something, it hit a button, say can you incorporate this also as an input, and that's written, and you hit publish, it goes to the parents, whether you do daily or weekly. It will, or it has started saving time for teachers where they have been there. And it doesn't matter the curriculum, it doesn't matter whether it's a preschool, whether it's a school. We started building for preschool because that's where I started building this product for. But I'm happy to kind of share the stage and say this, we've got something, and I'm happy to show on that. And that's one of the areas where I've seen started AI is changing the space and started helping it out. Open to any questions before I try to show what we've got.
Well, again, just to make sure everyone that's on this or watching the recording later understands what's different between this and, let's say, Montessori Compass or Transparent Classroom or any other tool you've got, and there are a lot of great tools, is normally what you do is you take pictures, you have to tag them, and you have to, you basically say, I'm going to send this to the parents at this time, and maybe you have enough time to write some kind of notes about what the heck they're looking at. What's different the way AI is working for Nav is in the classroom, you could take 500 photographs in a morning if that's what you wanted to do. And it can either do 1 day, 1 week, a month. It could do a whole year if you want it. It basically chooses the best photos. It avoids duplicates. It avoids the blurry ones. It selects them. It asks you, do you agree that this is a great selection? So you have the ability to say, no, 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 don't want this one. But it's very quick. Then it identifies who is shown in this picture. Then it writes a narrative underneath it as to what the heck is going on. And the narrative that it delivers initially is pretty darn good. But let's say, and try to imagine you're seeing an email for each individual parent. So obviously some pictures show 2 or more kids. If one of the kids' parents doesn't want their kid's picture shown, it blurs that kid out so that the parent of the other child is not seeing it. Secondly, it writes a narrative about what it is you're seeing. So it feels like a narrative report that's illustrated. This is not intended to replace the kind of report we create in any software that we get for giving formal communication about what lessons. This is a snapshot of typically 10 to 20 pictures about your child's day. And it's extremely easy under each picture to make changes in what the text says. It can be you handwrite it, you erase what it says, you start again. You can voice dictate it, or you can put in notes, either again with typing or with your voice, and then say to AI, turn this into a coherent message to the parent doing XYZ. And it takes that paragraph and it whips it into shape. And then again, you can change that if you want. The time it takes is remarkably short compared to anything else I've ever seen. Hi, Tiffany, how are you? So bottom line is this is a tool that to me is useful regardless of what kind of school you're using, because it takes very little teacher time. It has very strong power, and it's really affordable, because I'm talking to more and more client schools that are beginning to use AI with their teachers, and they're saying, well, let's get every teacher an AI account. Well, that's $20 a month per teacher for a one-on-one professional account that has memory. Again, we've done a lot of talking about AI on this particular series of broadcasts. So you can check them all out on our YouTube channel. But assuming you've got a professional account, you can have an account for your business where it knows everything you want to know, you want to share about your business, its branding, its address, and so forth, your corporate culture, the way you message, the way you want your messages to sound, crisp and professional or kind of folksy or whatever. So what you're getting is a group of teachers where you can see what they've written before it goes out, and you can modify it before it fires out, and you can send it or not send it. But what they're going to get feels like a really interesting email in addition to any other report they're going to get for that day or that week.
Yeah.
Nav, did I pretty well cover it?
I think you're pretty well covered. I think people might be waiting to show what I've been talking about, or you have been talking about. So let me show maybe some of the part on that, and then open up to the questions or any other areas on the AI part of it too. Sounds good? Or do you want me to cover anything before we jump on that?
Unless someone's got a quick question they want to ask you right now.
I'm seeing a lot of people joining in. Hi, everyone.
I'd say show it away. They know how to open up their mics.
Okay, so shall I go ahead, Tim?
Yeah.
Uh, 1 second. Let me share the screen. I'm just trying to open up an account. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Got it. So as you can
So
see on the left, there are a lot of options out there. Ignore that options as of now, because Illumine is a full school management system that lets you manage everything. But here we're talking about the AI part of it, which is the most amazing module that schools have been using, irrespective of what school management system that they're using as of now, but getting the real value of what we have built here out. So the first thing is where you're seeing is the face registration page, like where you register the kids or the staff, anyone you can register there. We have a lot of other AI features where it can be used. So the process is very simple. Let's say you want to start using for someone for photos. So let me maybe add a student with, let's say, I'll add a student as my name. And okay, I'm putting it in a demo room, then saving it. And let me go to the face registration. I'll find myself and I'll say I want to enroll myself for the face registration. So I have a couple of options to enroll. I can upload the couple of photos which has side profile, front profile, or I can just simply say use a camera to capture, like how we do face IDs or smart IDs. You'll open the camera and I can do face IDs like this on the left. Yeah, so it got my all the photos captured in terms of doing a face registration is as easy as like it takes 10 seconds to register, and that's how you can register any students in the system. And once that is registered, that's where it comes like how can you use AI daily reports. I've been playing around with it, so let me show how easy it is. So you click on, say, I've selected some photos, but you can select any number of photos. So I've got a couple of photos here which I can choose. So I've got a photo dump. I just took all the photos, put it in the system. I want to give a voice note. I can go ahead or I can type it, whatever. Kids are doing birthday celebration and did some activity on the mat. They really enjoyed it. Okay, so it got all the message that I said, and I hit upload. What it will do is now it will process all the image, it will upload, it will identify who's there in these photos. First kids, what they're doing, how their emotions looks like, what is there in the background, what material looks like is there in each of these photos, who has consent for sharing the photo, who does not have consent for that. And after doing that, it will try to write a narrative, what they're doing, and also group them. So let's say there are 5 activities, or you see 5 photos doing on the blackboard something, it will group them together because it knows one child is doing series of photos for them. If there are blurred photos, it will remove a couple of them. If there is no clear photos, like blurry photos, all of that will happen now. And once you start processing it, it will start identifying all of that in these photos. And once it's ready, you hit generate daily activity post. It will start writing the daily report. It takes a couple of seconds to write it. In meanwhile, let me show you there are a couple of other options. How can this does not sound like a chat GPT or anything. While it is building a lot of information based on the context, you can give also your school level context to it. So you can say, I want to use what kind of a tone that I want to use when I'm writing daily report. What is my curriculum looks like? Am I following Montessori? So I can go ahead and say, okay, Montessori curriculum. Do you want to write in different languages? It can write in different languages. The words that you don't want to use in any of those daily reports, like the words that Montessori doesn't use, you can put them here. Or the words that you use, it needs to know, you can put it that too. You can give your sample couple of posts to understand it better so that it looks like it's written by your teachers. And couple of guidelines that if you want to give, you can give all of that input. So yeah, this will make daily report looks like your school. And if you see now, it's already started tagging. It tagged 2 students in this photo, Tanisha and Kashvi. And it says 2 children are standing in front of. This is not a daily report. It identifies what's there in the photos is what it's showing to you. Similarly, if you look at it, it has identified all the kids in this photo. Couple of them has not very clear one, still it has got all of them here. Okay, and if you click now, you say, okay, you can select if you don't like any photos, you can remove. So let's say I don't want this photo, I can go ahead and select this photo, and I can say generate. So now it will start grouping them, start generating the daily report out of it. So in meanwhile, it is doing just to build a context. So it's not like ChatGPT. You dump a photo and it does. It has a lot of different AI models, which is processing in the background and getting trained on the real data. That how teachers write the report, what these materials look like, what can this mean up to with this particular age group of kids out there. All of that information gets filled in, and then it goes to writing those daily reports. So if you see now, I'm not sure if you're able to see. Yeah. So it has identified this is a STEM activity kids are doing. They're playing with the gears and trying to arrange shapes on the board. All of that is well written. But let's say you don't like. Sorry, Tim, you're saying something?
No, no.
Ah, okay. This is my
I
photo that I have selected with my son. It says, because in this photo there are a lot of lights, and it says indoor under the glow of decorative lights, engage with it's like it's playing with me and trying to have a moment with them. So all of that photos that I've given, you can see is very well written out there. But let's say you don't like any of this, and I want to say, for example, in this itself, I want to change it. And I say, 1 second, let me remove this. Uh, so I can give more context. It is actually Diwali celebration at home with parents or family. I did typos, which is fine, and then I can regenerate it. and then it will regenerate this particular part, whatever the input I have given. I can manually edit and I can change. So now if you see, it has already changed that under the warm glow of decorative light, a child engaged in a general. So because this child is not there in the system, I have not put his information. That's why it says child. But if he's able to identify who is there in the photo, it will be written with that context or the name of that person. So yeah, and then it's ready to publish. You click share all, it goes to the parents on their email, they receive it there. Or if they're already using Illumine for everything, so they get it on their app also along with that.
Nav, how long would you guess it would take a typical teacher with a class of, let's say, 15 children, because
Mm-hmm.
quite often there's two adults working with 30 or even fewer. How long would it take for them to prepare a daily report using this particular standalone tool?
How long will it take a teachers to prepare for 15 kids, correct, Tim?
Yep.
So in terms of the time that goes is depends on the media, like the photos and the videos that you're trying to upload. On average, people are uploading 10 to 20 photos in a post or up to 50 photos in a post. And that is done less than a minute time, what I've seen. But the best part is teachers don't have to wait on while it is getting done. So what they can do is they just dump the photos, click on generate and go. They continue what they're doing. And when they come back within a minute or two, they have everything well written out there. They can just edit and publish it out there. So even though it takes a minute as of now, which is getting faster day by day because we are able to process and AI models are getting faster, we're able to do it faster. But 1 or 2 minutes is not anyway long enough for that purpose. And the people who have started using it, if this is not available for a day or for an hour, our support line starts ringing saying that how will we write daily reports now? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Like, does it seem like something that adds value to everyone? Do you see it's different than anything? And so ChatGPT, how you use it for, or do you guys use ChatGPT as a teachers in the license, as Tim said? A lot of people have started taking the organization level ChatGPT account and started engaging with it. Hi, Rupali.
So, hi Navneet, how are you?
I'm good.
Congratulations on this product. Pretty
Thank you.
late out there, huh?
Late on, yeah. It's like, but
Yeah.
coming with the bang, so that works for us.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you, you mentioned that we can have photos. Where are the photos stored? Are they stored on your platform? Are they stored on the teacher's device? Where
Mhm.
where does the software pull the photos from? And is there a limit on the pictures, how many you can store? Because that's something we get with other softwares that we use. We have a
Mhm.
limit for the pictures, and then, oh boy, you have to delete some and add some, and that
Uh,
becomes an additional work which we didn't factor in.
Yeah, because this was when I heard this question initially with couple of people, I was quite surprised that people are even asking questions in this era now about when we have everything on the cloud about the storage limitation. But then I realized because it's there in the other softwares how they have been designed. In our system, like even without AI, there is an option to go and manually say, I select the photos, I write the daily reports, and I can publish it out there. There is no restriction in terms of the numbers of photos and videos that you can put in. We don't do saying that we downscale so much that the quality is poor. No, all of that remains in the system and everything is backed up in the cloud. We use Google Cloud as a backend infrastructure, so everything is stored there. We are the only company, maybe the second company in this whole space, which has got SOC 2 certification for making sure that enterprise grade security, which is one of the best standard out there when it comes to the data security and the infrastructure security. We got SOC 2 Type 2 certified on the platform side of it. We're also GDPR compliant on that sense. So everything is backed up on the cloud. If a parent doesn't give a consent, you cannot upload. System will block you from uploading those photos also to push in, unless until you're only sending to the parents and not tagging in the group activity. So it will blur those images. That is the feature out there. So if you've taken a photo of 5 kids, one of that kid parents has not given you a consent, like consent. So it will automatically blur that image. Does that answer your question, Rupali?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Yeah, so practically you will never hit the limit in terms of the storage. You have unlimited storage to store on the photo side of it. You
Yeah.
have ability to download also in bulk. So let's say a parent is leaving because he's graduating from the schools or whatever, they want to take those memories with them. So they can one click download all the photos as an archive file and they can take it back too.
Yeah. Did you say you use the Google platform for? Okay.
So this is a similar infrastructure that Google Photos uses. If you look, so the experience is also very similar. You get images loaded really fast. They're cached there that way.
Okay. How is it different than, like, instead of using Gemini and Google Photos together, how's your platform different?
It's a lot different, and it's a very good question that you ask. So think of it like I was showing you a couple of settings where you can say what your school tool looks like, customization. So that is one part of it where it giving you the flexibility to control what all your teachers are, what language they're using, how they're communicating, all of that. But it is also learning from your school communication overall. So the platform has a lot of other modules in terms of billing, in terms of communicating with the parents, messaging, designing newsletters, capturing your inquiries, looking at your capacity. The way we train this AI model is not one model. So Gemini is one model, but Gemini is good for certain things. There are thousands of models now out there. So if you go to Claude, it's good for writing a very long form of a content which has a lot of research. When you go to the chat GPT, it is good for general purpose content out there. But if you go to the Twitter model, which is a Grok model, which is very good at writing a crisp, smaller content out there. And then similarly model for face recognition, activity recognition. So there are a lot of models. So you think of it like you got a car where multiples of these solutions are got together, joined together to make a output specifically for education in that sense. I don't know, maybe I should have come with a better analogy, but what I'm trying to say is like one is a general purpose tool that you can do, but it will take a lot of time. So you go to ChatGPT, you write, give the context, get the output, and every time you do the same amount of investment to Gemini to learn what you want to write. And everybody will have their own different variations out there. It will not work as the organization that you're looking at out there. In this, you don't have to do anything. It's like I can immediately get the output same level or maybe better than what Gemini is producing, because it's not only learning from your school, it's learning for all the across the schools of US or 50 plus countries where we're working as of now.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Anyone else? Forgive me, I got a phone call while you were speaking. Have you mentioned what the cost would be if a school wanted to adopt just this one module?
No, I haven't mentioned on the cost, but as we have launched it recently and we're trying to do a very good promotional pricing out there, what we have done is instead of getting on a student level or anything like that, we have made it as easy as how you go with ChatGPT pricing model. So you pay $25 per staff and you can start immediately from the system. Yeah.
So again, just to clarify, if you have 10 classrooms and in the classrooms you've got a teacher, a lead teacher, and an assistant, and you wanted all of them to use this software, you would take out 10 licenses, would be 10 times 25 a month for them to be able to do it. And if you said, I only want to try it out with one class, well, that's easy enough to do. This is a pretty easy entry thing for you to explore if you want to dip your toe in the water. And based on what I'm seeing, and I'm noticing how quickly Nav's team is improving it. And frankly, making it feel more, shall we say, grown up for the North American Montessori market and non-Montessori market where we don't have cartoons and things. I think the look and the feel of what a parent sees is going to get better and better rather quickly. And what I notice is this is just a nice add-on to whatever else you're using, or if you're not using anything, because with relatively little work, your teachers can generate a great daily report that is so much easier to produce than the typical, I'm taking pictures and I'm going to send the right pictures to the right parent. And yet, if I get more than one kid in the picture, am I getting into trouble with a parent that didn't want their picture shared? this really is doing a nice job of making it quick and easy and producing what appears to be an intelligent, coherent communication that's easy to digest about what did your child do this week. It's not meant to replace the typical, this is all the lessons we taught in the Montessori curriculum or anything else. It's meant to be a snapshot that is easily produced.
Correct. And I think, Tim, it will go long way from here. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg, according to me. So writing daily report will save a lot of time, but when you look at 3 months back and you want to generate a portfolio or a general where you have photos and the story what kids have been doing, can be as easy as clicking at one click and generating those two, because it has all the context, it knows all the, like, it has written all the reports all along, so it has all the information in the system. It is already selecting what are the best moments out there and bringing out there. So that's something is the future that's going to come anyway.
And likewise, you're planning to produce, I believe, what I would call a yearbook, a coherent portfolio of your child's year at our school, where it's organized into some logical thing like this is how your child grew in the area of geometry, mathematics, social emotional development. Here are examples, images of her poetry or her writing, or photographs of her spelling with the movable alphabet. And you could take hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of images and produce a coherent, pretty darn attractive portfolio approach that a parent would get as a PDF, but without the hundreds of hours of staff time that would take to assemble it normally.
Yeah.
So,
And they can focus more on the learning lesson planning and records, that you said, learning records side of it, which is crucial as the teacher side, and making sure that quality of the teaching also goes, while writing those daily report can save a lot of time for them.
right. So turning to Clint, my colleague in crime, for a minute, we're constantly focused on what does it take to make the phone ring? What does it take to get them on campus? What does it take to close a sale? And then what does it take to keep those kids in your school through high school graduation or through the highest grade that is your critical target? And what we're always looking at AI. We have done so many different webcasts, right, on how to use AI in marketing and in making your administrators' jobs easier. Here's the first time that we're really talking about how do you make your staff members' lives easier. And we haven't even mentioned that if your staff member is their native language is Spanish and the parent's language is Cantonese, that they can write it in their native language. They can translate it into English. The head of school can review it, just double check that everything is right. And then it can all be translated into the family's language seamlessly with very few errors.
And I'll just mention, as we talked about AI and a lot of different facets, I think, especially when you start getting into the classroom, there's this initial like apprehension, like, oh, can we use AI? Should we use AI? I remember early on in the days of AI, like 2024, it was like, this is cheating. We can't do that. And obviously, we know that AI is here, but I think this is the perfect use case for AI as well because it accomplishes two major goals, especially when it comes to, when I'm thinking about retention, saving time and retention, right? We know that parents need and want more communication touch points than ever. We know just from marketing and survey data that just because a family is enrolled in a school doesn't mean they're going to stay, right? So, unlike, a decade ago, hey, if they're at your school, they were staying at your school. That's not the case anymore. Families are leaving. The grass is greener. That's happening. So they need constant reinforcement of the value proposition, and obviously that's where the classroom comes in. But we also know that many times teachers, sometimes if things are more difficult, if it takes time, These are things that can get pushed to the side. And, with this, with AI, with it, being able to save hours upon hours a week, I think that is such an amazing opportunity for the teachers, for the school. Parents are going to be thrilled. So it's truly I look at it as like a win-win-win, right? Parents win with more communication. Teachers win because they can save more time than ever in writing these up, and the school wins because ultimately you're creating a really fantastic retention model as well.
I have one
Yeah.
interesting question on that, Clint, to you. So when you run marketing, like help with marketing to schools, how many times you highlight this experience that how engaged or how well you communicate with the parent? Is that an important aspects that the school find it in marketing too?
Yeah, in terms of like how they communicate their communication with parents, essentially.
Yeah, because when I talk to preschools and the childcare centers, one of the things that they highlight to parent is first that how well we communicate to you. You get to know what your
Yeah.
kids have been learning. Is that the same case when you market in terms of the school side of it or the Montessori school side of it?
Yeah, it's definitely more important, at the earlier grades. I think it comes up a little bit more. However, I think schools should probably be doing it a little bit more. I don't necessarily see it as much as they should. But something I talk a lot about is reinforcing the value proposition, and how do you do that? And that's where this can come in. And again, I do think because parents want more of that. So if you can communicate to families, hey, you're going to get this many, here's what you're going to get. And it helps because if you don't communicate that, they're going to be wondering that. And so the big thing I always talk about is answering the questions that are going on in parents' minds. And so that this is a question that they have, how am I going to know what's going on? All these things that go on in our mind, especially when our kid's not right in front of us. So this this helps solve that. So yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So it's
The
important.
other thing I would say is I've noticed something as someone that does not work for Navneet or any other software company. I know how much it costs to do a software rewrite. Um, there are companies that have really big budgets like Brightwheel, and even they are slow at doing this. They're promising they're going to do it, but it's vaporware. It could be years and years and years from this. And it reminds me of the early days when we developed CGMS, and we were probably 10, 15 years ahead of everyone else. And then it took the pandemic to get everyone to come on board with what we were doing and say to us, how do you do it? And Kitty, sharing out freely with our support, let us tell you what we do and why we believe it works. Navneet, you are operating on a level of efficiency and speed that is way ahead of anything I've ever seen in the software industry. And you're doing it with what appears to me to be a very high level of accuracy and efficiency and cost efficiency. Um, I think this eventually is going to become the norm, but I think we are probably 4 years, maybe less, but I think 4 years away from seeing it come online in any significant way because of the complexity and the cost it takes. So I have to take a quick call.
Yeah.
Clint, you take over with Nav.
Yeah, I just to add on what Tim said, like I think one of the things that we are able to achieve that speed and accuracy is again we internally also use AI for ourselves too. So we have AI agents helping us to write so fast that at a human scale is difficult doing that. And it is getting to that level of maturity, it's able to produce that kind of output. I was talking to my team, I think maybe 3 months back. So initially, it was very tough to build something like where a face ID kind of a recognition needs to be built. It was months' job with at least 4 to 5 engineers to say, okay, go about where somebody can just open the camera and build an ID where I can start recognizing them in a photo. And you'll not believe it, it was done within a week's time. And it was done with much more accuracy that you get at least after 4 or 5 iterations out there. So we're not only advocating AI for external world, we started using and first believe ourselves it really helps in that sense. And it is making us faster. It is making us more efficient to do the things that we really wanted to do. Instead of building a system one by one saying that improve this button, improve this screen, we said remove the screen. Can we do it without the screen? What is the most easy way to give input for users now? Photo, audio, or a video? Can we do it with everything with that? Can we get away with that uh, typing interface where we showing having with the fat fingers to type in, we are walking and trying to type all of that? Can we avoid all of that? And and here we are, we have that, like it's working out where you don't even have to type anything. So yeah, that's the impact that we're seeing as it is.
I have a
Again,
couple. Oh, I'm so sorry.
hi, Jody.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
I'm sorry that I'm coming to the party a little bit late, but I have just a couple of quick questions. I think that I'm sure already covered, Naveen. Is this something that is similar to like a seesaw, and all parents have to have an account in order to come and look at it? Is it pushed out to the parents on that daily report, or it could be set up to push out like in real time as soon as I set it up? And then my last question is, how about parent pushback on using the AI and the photo recognition? I know some parents are reluctant even to allow us to use photos of their kids for whatever. Are you getting any pushback from people on allowing their kids to be a part of that aspect of it?
Makes sense. I think those two are very important questions, Jody, that you ask. Let me answer the second one first on the pushback on the parent side. So because we have the Illumine main product started with early education, we implemented most of it on preschools and the childcare centers globally. In the preschool segment, the photo sharing is a very common thing that happens anyway. So out of 100 parents, 95 to 90 parents will have given a consent to share photos with them. Not on the social media, but in the among the parents, you can share the photos when the group activities are there. But when we rolled out, that question came, where are you storing these photos? What is going to be used these photos? Can somebody take out this photo in a public reference out there? I think all of that question came. And we were aware when we were building this, because when we built, as Tim said, like we built the system for the enterprise first. We had questions. Our system is used in Bright Horizons in India, in other location outside, not in US yet, but we have been getting used. And they did a 1 year long due diligence on the platform to make sure that whatever the data we take is stored safely. They try to do a penetration test, try to hack it from outside. They ask us to get insurance, to get a SOC 2 certification and all of that. So like they try to check it in every corner to make sure, because their employees data that going to put in. And that was not photos that time. It was as simple as their employee records, because they have to put their cards for the fee processing. They have to put their email details to get emails on it. And now when it came to email, that sensitivity was there. So what we did is, from our side, we don't use public models. We don't store anything on the public cloud. What we do is, it's an expensive thing, but we do it on a private AI models, where it's not shared with the common storage or anywhere. It's basically private to us as a Illumine. Nobody has access to what photos that we upload out there. We also not upload everything to the cloud when it comes to AI models context. We try to extract as much as information on the device with the photos and then give that information to AI model instead of giving the images out there. And we're optimizing as the AI models are getting more advanced and advanced. We don't need to send everything to the cloud. We can process a couple of things on the device itself, and that's what we are aiming for, where we don't have to send everything to the cloud, and it's much safer that way. It's like a network devices storing everything on the network on the local instead of pushing it on the cloud. It's not there yet, but some pieces like face recognition doesn't go to the cloud now. For the face recognition, it's quite advanced to get it on the mobile device itself. But getting the context building on the images, what kids are doing, as of now, it goes to AI out there. But it's safe in a private way. It's not going outside. And within the schools also, there is a context window. It's not like your school photo sitting with another school's photo. It's like each school is a project, and they're not sharing the spaces that way. What they're sharing is a common information base that we built out of it, that how schools work, what the way they operate, what the way they communicate, the best practices of the schools across the geographies or across the state, not the photos or the media in that way. So that makes us very safer. Now it comes to the adoption. One of the things that we thought of it, because everybody uses a system, somebody has some system out there, like as you said, seesaw is there. And if I'm bringing a system, one of the pushback is coming that parents will have three systems. How will they access it? How will they go about implementing it? Can I get a daily report in 5 minutes, but how will I send it to the parents? So the first way built it is saying that you can set it on email. You don't need to worry. It's as simple as you go to Seesaw or any existing system, download the student information sheet where you have student name, parent name, and their email. That's all. You put it in this system. It will generate the report. You publish. It will go on the email with a nice kind of a newsletter way, you can say, on their emails out there. We also have an app solution where it will also publishes on the app, which is the Illumine solution integrated anyway, which has everything like billing, like the things that you're seeing on the. Maybe I'll share the screen again, but the thing that you're seeing on the lab, there are a lot of other modules about billing, attendance, communications, newsletters, tours, inquiries, learning and assessment. So all of that also is built in. But this is something that is a module that independently you can take. And once you create a daily report, you can just publish it from that page. Like I've already published it, it'll go on the email.
Yep. And Jody, just again to reiterate, one of the things that's different about this is I love Seesaw. We've been using it for, almost since it started. But it does require that you not only have someone take the pictures, but you got to tag them, and then you've got to decide, do we send them out to parents? This thing is you're taking the photos. Someone's got to take them. It will tag the kids automatically, and it will, again, identify whether or not you could share the pictures with other people and blur out their faces if they've said, please do not send any other parent a picture of my kid. And it will write the narrative. And you can modify that to your heart's content and make it translate in any language you want. So the bottom line is it takes much less time and produces a much more coherent communication than what we used to get out of Seesaw.
Sorry. Also, with the whole platform, the entire you're talking right now about just an isolated, just one functionality that you could get in on just for the photo management. The other part of the whole entire platform is something more akin to like Blackbaud or Power School or something like that, that you could use the overall platform, and then this just sort of comes with it or is like an add-on or something.
So both are available. Like the packaging is available. You can just take this module and use it if you don't want to change your school management system. But you say, I want an integrated one where everything is integrated in terms of I don't have to import student data again. Can the system do check-in and check-out for student? Yes. Can the system do staff check-in and check-out? Yes. Can it captures inquiries from your website or drop-ins who is looking for admission? Yes. Can it send them emails for tours, schedule a school tour? It has that module too. It can do that. When it comes to sharing messaging like a chat, iMessage or something, you can chat with the parent, they can message you back. It has a mobile app for teachers, it has a mobile app for parents too. And it has integrated payment solution. So you can put them on a fee plan, automatically send them invoice on a tuition fee, and also make payments through ACH, cards, Apple Pay, or anything on their side.
And it does all the typical stuff that I noticed, transparent classroom and other things too. You can take any form you want, and Illumine will turn it into a digital form, put it in the database, and it allows you to, again, collect information, do pizza orders, field trip permissions, contracts for the years. Yeah, and again, there are different tools, like, it doesn't do financial aid. So it's not specifically designed for elementary and secondary schools. And it's not specifically designed for Montessori schools, but it's a very, very powerful childcare management software that is a very short distance away from being able to compete with pretty much anything. I mean, my goal, based on my frustration with fax, and I love fax, is to see something much, much, much easier and less expensive than fax that replaces it. But it definitely is a direct competitor to Brightwheel, OnCare, ProCare, Line Leader CRM, and so forth. And it plays nicely with things like Clint, Lausch, and Montessori Growth Suite, names, and things like that, in terms of making the phone ring, or really complicated Montessori record keeping. And I should, I'm a Montessori and I'm always harassing Nav about, the level of sophistication with Montessori, but I will give the guy credit. Nav has done a very nice job of producing a basic Montessori record keeping solution as well. However, it's inexpensive enough that if you're using Transparent Classroom, Montessori Compass, which is what we recommend, or MRX, you can, it's not an either or. You can do all of it, and you can afford it and still have money to go home from the bank from. So again, the purpose of this day of the week, Clint and I gather every Tuesday to talk not about pushing software, but about how do we recruit and retain the right families. Because you know that if you get the right families, they want to know what can we do to help instead of what have you done for me lately. There's no school in the world that doesn't need that. And what I appreciate about Clint is if you work smart with him, and there are other people. I mean, I know lots of companies that do marketing for schools, but Clint is my flavor of the last 5 years in terms of his knowledge of how to get the right message out at the right time to the right parent to make the phone ring. And what I really appreciate is that and Clint's software bolts on to Navneet's as well as to Montessori Compass. So you got a lot of choices here in the world. This is an interesting time. What I think we all need to do is work harder than ever to recruit and retain the right families because the birth rate is falling. We're at 1.6 children average per couple, as opposed to 2.4 a few years ago, which means that all schools are losing enrollment. We have an unsettled economy. We have lots and lots of states like Florida that are doing things that are helping, where they're saying, we will provide you with state subsidies, regardless of your income, to help you choose how you want to educate your kid, including at a private school like Newgate or whatever academy. But there are other states like California where they're basically providing publicly funded programs for 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds, and now 3-year-olds. And instead of being uncommon, where there might be 1 or 2 charter or public Montessori programs that go from age 3 and up, now this is becoming more and more common. So I would argue that those of us who are going to survive are going to work smart and we're going to put in some serious effort. Anyone, any last thoughts from anyone? Questions? Hearing no further takers. Next week is Thanksgiving week. Clint, we're gonna have to decide if we're doing something on Tuesday. I don't mind if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
I don't know how many people will come, but it might be fun.
We'll see.
Rapali, thank you. I really appreciate every week, Rapali. We're so glad to see you. Bottom line is this will all be posted on the Foundation's YouTube channel. We will send you all a link to this. We'll also send you out a white paper, not a complicated one, but one that summarizes everything we talked about. And this is something that Clint and I, and it just so happens my friend Navneet is very interested in. So we're going to do more and more of this, looking at how you can use smart tools to have an edge in a very challenging marketplace. Jody, any last words from you, my friend?
No, I'm sorry that I was late. So I'm going to go back and watch the front end of the video so that I know. I mean, from our perspective, it's always going to be a challenge for me to present it to admin and get them to make an overall switch. It might be something where you would do like one classroom takes it on and gives it a try and see how we do. I mean, if it was something that was across our whole school or something that could be done in a way that I could, as just the marketing person use it to manage my own marketing photos, and not be necessarily parent. Like I would love to be able to get photos out to the parents of specific things, and facial ID would certainly help us to be able to do that. But like from a class to class standpoint, I don't know how well I'll give it a shot anyway.
Jody, first off, the Montessori Foundation, as you know, is a school consulting group. If you ever wanted to invite the people in your school, whether you're Montessori or not, to just, set up a free conversation, I don't get a toaster if you buy anything.
Yeah.
Bottom line is that's not who we are. We're the equivalent of a Montessori school consulting group. We're happy to help you. And, we explain to people why an investment in a marketing tool is useful and who it's good for and who it's not. And if that ever helps, I'm more than happy to do it, or my colleagues.
Maybe so. Yeah.
We're here to help.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you too.
All right.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. Nice talking to you.
Bye.